Hey, it's W5HRO. Well, I restored this amp and I did do the modification to the Courier. I put that big cap in there, and as soon as I explain what's going on here, I'll turn the things over. I'll let you see what I did. See how clean it is now compared to the way it was? See that orange cap there? I replaced that one. I replaced the one down there. Got the brand new tubes in it, brand new caps there. And like I said, I'll turn it over here on the other side so you can see it in a minute. But let me show you what it's doing now. It's got a funky little problem, but the power has come way up now. First, there's 10 meters, 29.0. And 50, 60, 70, I'm getting 75 watts out of this thing. Yay, 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 yay. It's 75 watts now, but watch what happens when I first key it. Watch what happens. Let's let it go down. It'll come up to 50 for a second, then it'll bounce up. See that? And I have a hunch what it is. It's the only biasing these tubes in there have, these 12, what are they, 12 JB6s, is that 10K cathode resistor to ground. I think that resistor's too large. I think the biasing just isn't stable. And I think that's what's going on. So I may put another resistor in there with a Zener, like a smaller resistor, but I've got to, that's something I have to work on. But I did get the power way the heck up. It was actually doing that last weekend when I worked on it the first time, when I first hooked it up. I was getting about 50 watts out, then it would shoot up to like about 52. It would come up like 2 watts. Now it comes up at 50 and it shoots up to like 75. So like I said, the new caps and everything have really beefed this thing up, and the new tubes. But what I did was, see how they have the 80 mics in series, 3 of them? That's what, like 26, 27 mic total. And see how they had a 350 in the middle when they used a small resistor across that one to drop the voltage a little bit. Well, the only caps I could find for this thing were the 4-way 40 mics at 350 volts. So I used those, and I just basically what I've done is I've pretty much doubled the capacitance on this. I've got like what did I calculate, 56 microfarad now total or something like that, 56, 57, I'd have to calculate it again because I did it last week. But I have a 500 volt, what I have is on the underneath side, I'll show you in a minute, I've got those 2 blue 80 mics in parallel for the center one. And what I did was, I put a new 5 watt 100K in there across the first one here, and then the other one I put a 100K across it. Then what I did was on that 500 volt underneath, I put like a 120K resistor across it. So the one on top and the one on bottom will have less voltage than the one on the center, and it seems to be okay. But let me show you too what I found out now. This thing's really been beefed up. Let me, I'm not transmitting, so there's no RF, so I can do this, but watch the voltage on this thing when I touch this. Look, 984 volts. It's running pretty hot now. I don't know what it is yet when I transmit. I can't do it on the RF because I'll blow the meter up. But also, this can here is hot, the way they did it. So I got 690 some volts on that can. I got to be careful. See, the old ones, and it's only on that one the way they did it. These had plastic insulation around them, except on the top. And so you had a little bit of protection unless you touch the very center. But I'll probably have to put a sticker on there saying lethal voltage, do not touch, or something like that. High V or something on this case. It's just like kind of a warning or something, so nobody ever gets zapped on this thing. But it cleaned up nicely. And now too, if you look at the radio, when I talk, see, watch what the meter does. Yay, 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 hello, 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 hello. It goes forward now. So let me stop the video here, and I'll power these things off, and I'll turn it over and let you see what the other sides look like now. Okay, I'm back here. You can see what I did. What I did was I put that big 600 volt 100 mic cap in there because I used the blue ones over here on the amp. See, but let me show you. What I did was I had some of those terminal strips, those two terminal strips, and I just, how they've got a lot of stuff on this radio where they've got grounds. They just soldered it down the chassis. Well, I've got the big 200 and some odd watt heat gun, so I just did the same thing. I just soldered the ground of those terminals you know, to the side, and I just mounted the cap that way and ran the red wire over. So I did beef this thing up. Now, one thing I realized is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put a negative peak limiter in this thing. That's one of the last thing I'm going to do. I probably should have, I don't know why I didn't think of that. So what I'm going to do is, on the radio here, is I'm going to, plus I'm going to replace that old 3 amp slow blow fuse. Oh, that's an 1.5 amp slow blow fuse. It's kind of, the thing looks rusty inside, so I am going to change that fuse out. I forgot about that. I just hadn't done it yet. But what I'll probably do is I'm going to cut the line going to right here. I'll just splice it and I'll put the 3 diode limiter in there. I just got to measure the current on this 6BQ5 tube, see what it is, so I know what resistors to use on the limiter circuit. So I'm just going to do the 3 diode, my modified design with the 2 resistors. I'll just stick that sucker in, or I'll put 3 resistors. I'll put 1 on the input maybe, or from the supply, and I can just probably come over here off this side of this transformer and just run the high V up to it and drop it down that way, and just use that high V supply to power it, you know, to bias it up so it's always on. So that way, that's AKA keep alive. That's what that means, keep it alive. So keep the diodes forward biased and the, you know, everything conducting to the tube. So, but that's what I did on that. Now, here on the amp, you see what I did? I had to kind of mount them like this, those blue caps, and kind of run a jumper wire over, but I put brand new resistors. I got the 100K going to the 1. I have the 120K, then the 100K going down there. So those are new 5-watt resistors. But right there is that 10K cathode bias resistor, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the one. So I need to, yeah, brown, black, orange, that's 10K. So that's what I need to change. That resistor, that thing is so high in value that I think that's why the power comes up to 50 watts and then shoots up to 75. It's just not stable. So that's what I'm gonna have to change. So I'll probably have to work on this one more weekend before I'm totally finished. So I'm going to think about that this weekend and see how I mean, this week when I'm, you know, I got to go to work tomorrow. It's Sunday. So I'll think about it this week and I'll see what parts I have. I have a Zener somewhere. I may not have the right one. I may have to order a part. So I'll think about this later tonight and tomorrow, and I'll figure out what I'm going to do to try to stabilize that. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that's what it is. I mean, there's really nothing else it could be. I have brand new caps. The supply is always on. It just drops down in voltage when you run RF, you know, through it and transmit, you know. So I mean, it's already on. It's a linear, so the supply's on the plates all the time. So I don't know what else it could be other than that. I mean, I changed the caps. I've changed this cap. I've changed that cap. There's no other caps on this anywhere. The only thing that's left is this 10K biasing resistor. And I haven't measured the value to see what it is. Maybe it's going flaky or something. That's only a 0.5 watt resistor. They should have put at least a 1 watt resistor in there. So maybe that resistor could be going bad too, but I think it's just too big in value. I think it's just too large. But I could figure out, I could figure it out right now. Let me, I'm not sure what it'll do with the tube in there though. It may not read the right value. 11.7K, so it's a little high. It's probably just too big a value. Just dropping it down to maybe like an 8K or something might solve the problem too, but I'll have to check to see what that voltage is on it and go from there. I'll do that here in a little bit. I'm gonna turn it back on. I'm gonna measure that voltage, and maybe I'll just stick a Zener in there. I'll just drop it. I'll just make sure the voltage is a little lower than what it is now, and I'll put a Zener on it to stabilize it. But I have a hunch that's probably what it is. If I get my finger out of the way of the phone camera here, I saw it coming down over. So that's all I have for now, and looks like I have one more weekend to finish this thing up, then I'll be done with it. So there'll be one final video, then maybe one when I eventually get it in the operating position downstairs, when I figure out where I'm going to put it. I have no clue yet, so I got to figure out. I'm thinking about just getting a roll-around cart down there to roll beside my desk or something for now. I don't know. I'll figure it out. So until next weekend, or whenever I do the next video on this thing, this is W5HRO with the Courier modified for 10 meters and the matching linear doing about 75 watts now. 73s. I almost forgot I wanted to mention one more thing. Let me add this to the video before I button it all down. This amplifier, Courier used to put WKR tubes in their radios from the factory. This still had the original factory WKR tubes. And I started thinking about it. You know what these are is these are sweep tubes. These are horizontal deflection sweep tubes, but they're compactrons. I think these are those 40-watt tubes, because when I shut the video down, I was going to go ahead and, you know, when I added that last part to the first one, I thought, wait a minute, let me do something. So I readjusted the load on the radio, get a little bit more drive into it. I'm getting 80 watts out of this thing. See, it's peaking up to 80 watts. As a matter of fact, it's a hair bit more now. So I think these are those 40-watt compactron tubes. Now, I had that old Courier Blueface, that old, oh God, what was the number? Something Fleet Courier 30B. We used to put these compactron tubes in them to get the power to go way up. And I cannot remember if this was if it was the 12BJ6 or not. Or I'm sorry, 12JB6. Is that what I said these are? Yeah, 12JB6s. I think these are those 40-watt tubes. So two of them in parallel, I'm getting the 80 watts out. And I think if you run enough carrier drive into it, you can get to 100 watts. This thing will modulate up to 100 watts. It's not doing now. I'd have to back the load down a little bit. I'd have to adjust both the load on the radio and the amplifier to get to get the full modulated envelope out of it. So it'd probably come up to 100 watts, which would drop the carrier down. But I think these are those 40-watt compactron tubes. That's why two of them in parallel, I'm getting the 80 watts out of it now, just slightly more. So I think that's what's going on. But I thought these are pretty hot tubes. These are probably more powerful than a 6146, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, it's a linear and they're horizontal deflection sweep tube. And if you drive in it, you know, the more power you put in, the more power you get out. So I think that's what's going on. But I kind of wanted to mention that because I forgot. So that's why this thing is those small tubes have more power than what you would think. So that's all for now. This is W5HRO.